Bryan Cranston's TV follow-up to Breaking Bad, Your Honor, returned to Paramount Plus a few weeks ago, so at the halfway stage, I figured it was time to check in. Season 1 followed Cranston's Michael Desiato's reaction after he discovered his son had been involved in a hit-and-run accident that left the son of notorious mob boss Jimmy Baxter dead. Originally, Desiato, a judge who believes in justice and the law, wanted to turn his son in because that was the right thing to do, but when he realized that it was a mob boss's son that he killed and the consequences that may result from that, he had a change of heart. It was never going to be Breaking Bad, but it was fine. And the first series seemed to stretch out all potential sides of the what would you do and who would you become to keep your child safe argument, with a satisfying conclusion that seemed to close out the story. I say seemed because here we are back at series 2 in a surprise that I definitely wasn't expecting, to be watching series 2 of this show, because this show, I was sure, ended at the end of series 1 quite well. It's kind of like when you say goodbye to someone and then you just walk in the same direction as them and you have to kind of just make awkward conversation and just be like, so you got work this weekend? That's what this is. All of the characters who survived series 1 are back. We meet a desolate Michael who's let himself go. He's got the beard, scraggy beard and hair and so on. He's imprisoned now, having confessed to manipulating a trial in season 1 involving Jimmy's son to let him go free. He's also a shell of his former self when assistant U.S. Attorney Olivia Del Monte, who you hear played by Rosie Perez in the clip before this, arrives to offer him an opportunity to earn his freedom. And so we're thrust back into At Home with the Baxters, as Desiato can't seem to untangle himself from the drama of the crime lord's family. If that all seems really convoluted, that's because it is. It's convoluted. There's a lot to be said for a limited series. Get in, tell your story, and most importantly, let that story end. And this premise was all dealt with in season 1. Continuing now is like saying, what if a chemistry teacher broke bad and then began dealing drugs? And then all of that plays out, and in season 7, you turn around and say, what if that same chemistry teacher went on to become a successful stockbroker in the New York Stock Exchange? And you're like, well, that's just a different show with the same lead actor. This is the same show in the same world. It just decided to linger on awkwardly after the story had ended and everyone had gone back to whatever normal was for them in the aftermath. And look, we're dealing with gangsters and criminals, so that normal is pretty dramatic and interesting, but still. So the question becomes, why am I still watching? And why am I likely to continue? Because it's not just for the review. I'm actually watching this show pretty regularly on a week-to-week basis. And put simply, the answer to that is the cast. Bryan Cranston recently appeared on Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend podcast with Conan O'Brien, obviously, hence the name, where, while discussing Breaking Bad, he said, I'm confident that I can take writing up a grade, but if you give me C-level content, the most you're getting is a B. And at least he wasn't directly referring to this when he was talking about it, but that's exactly what this show is. It's Bryan Cranston being his excellent self, turning C-grade content into a B. The supporting cast are all stellar too. You've got Michael Stuhlbarg, who chewed scenery but was grossly underutilized on Boardwalk Empire. So you get to see him fully flex his muscles in a similar role as Jimmy Baxter, and that's really welcome. You've got Hope Davis, who gives a wildcard element as his unstable and dangerous wife Gina. You've got Isaiah Whitlock Jr. as his typically charming, if untrustworthy friend as Mayor Charlie Figaro. And that all remains consistent down the line. The cast is really, really good. And you kind of get the sense that that's Showtime's logic too. If you can have all these great actors, why wouldn't you see what you can put together? And the end result will be at least kind of watchable. And if that's the theory, it actually works out. Yeah, that's true. The end result of this is it's a fine TV show. The plot itself, though, is fairly dreadful. It's threadbare. It's forced. You get the sense there's not a single stone these writers will leave unturned. If there's something that the character said as an offhand remark in episode 2 of season 1, like, I like Crunchy Nut Cornflakes, there's going to be a stretched out Crunchy Nut Cornflake themed plot just to give these guys an excuse to get together and keep this train going, whether it's something we give a shit about or not. So it's an obstacle that you have to kind of get through if you want to see a good ensemble cast act the shit out of this role, which they for some reason really seem to care about. So if you're looking something to watch, this is definitely on TV. It's a show you can watch, and there's some positives to it. But if you were happy with how season 1 ended, and yes, it did end, and want to leave it there, you're not really missing much, and you can do so in good heart.